Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. I hadn't meant for the living room to feel so intimate. But that's exactly what happened the moment Ethan, my adult stepson, walked in. The glow from the TV wrapped the room in a warm, amber haze, and before I could switch the screen, he was already leaning over the back of the couch, close enough that I could feel the heat of his breath skim the top of my shoulder. "What are you watching?" he asked, his voice low, teasing, like he already knew the answer. My pulse kicked, fast and uneven. I swallowed, pretending to be calm as I gripped the remote a little too tightly. He didn't move. If anything, he leaned closer. His arm brushed mine, light, accidental, or maybe not accidental at all. The simple touch sent a sharp spark right through me, the kind that made my chest tighten and my nerves buzz. "I thought it was a movie," he murmured, eyes sliding from the screen to me. "But you look flustered." Flustered. Oh, he could feel it. Anyone in the room could have felt it, the tension humming like a live wire hanging between us. I forced a breath in, steady but shallow, trying to ignore how aware I suddenly was of every tiny detail: his scent, clean with a hint of cologne, the way his shadow fell over me, the way my heartbeat seemed too loud in my own ears. He smirked slightly, noticing everything. I nudged him with my shoulder, playful, light, testing the air between us. "Maybe I just didn't expect company," I said. "Funny," he replied, circling around the couch to sit beside me. "I didn't expect this either." The cushions dipped with his weight, bringing him closer than he usually sat, close enough that our knees brushed. A small, electric moment. Neither of us moved away. For a second, the room fell into a charged silence. Not uncomfortable, just full. Heavy with something unspoken. Something neither of us dared name. His eyes caught mine again, searching, curious, bold. And just when I finally found the words to explain something, maybe anything at all, he reached for the remote. And froze. "What is this?" he asked, staring at the paused screen. I felt my stomach drop. Because he had no idea what he was about to find out. The moment Liam paused the screen, the silence between us thickened. He didn't say anything right away, didn't tease like he normally would. Instead, he just stared first at the TV, then at me, with that unreadable expression he always slipped into whenever something caught him off guard. It wasn't supposed to feel like this between us. He was my husband's younger brother, 7 years younger, charming without meaning to be, all restless energy and warm glances he tried to pretend were innocent. He'd moved in with us 2 months ago, just until he found his footing, but somewhere along the way, lines had blurred. Quietly. Subtly. In ways neither of us spoke about. My marriage wasn't in its strongest place. Michael had been traveling constantly for work, gone for days, sometimes weeks. Calls became shorter, lighter, unfamiliar. And the house, our house, felt emptier with each missed dinner, each sorry, maybe next weekend. I wasn't lonely so much as forgotten. Fading into the background of someone else's routine. And Liam noticed. He always noticed. He'd linger a second longer when handing me a mug. Ask if I was okay when no one else did. Catch my eye from across the room as though checking if I needed air or company. And tonight, in the half-dark, I felt every unspoken thing pressing closer. "You don't have to explain," he said quietly, finally setting the remote down. His voice softened in a way that made my chest ache, warm, protective, a little possessive without meaning to be. "I wasn't trying to hide anything," I murmured. He huffed a small laugh. "You hide something?" His gaze dipped to my hands, noticing the slight tremor in my fingers before I could tuck them away. "You're terrible at it." A tiny smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. "And you're too observant." He shifted closer, barely, just enough for his knee to brush mine again. The contact was small, simple, but something in me tightened, traitorously responsive. His eyes flicked to the touch, then up to my face, and for a moment neither of us breathed. Everything felt louder, the hum of the TV, the rhythm of my heartbeat, the faint scent of his laundry soap. A warmth built between us, slow and dangerous, like a spark waiting for permission. Liam started, then stopped. His jaw tightened, like he was holding back the rest of the sentence. "What?" I asked. His eyes met mine, steady and too honest. "Sometimes I think you're lonelier than you admit." The words hit deeper than he knew. Before I could answer, before I could even decide how to answer, the front door clicked. Michael was home. The moment Michael stepped inside, the air in the room shifted, tightened. His footsteps echoed down the hallway, unhurried, unaware of the fragile tension he'd just walked into. Liam moved first, pulling back just enough that the warmth between us thinned, but it didn't disappear. It lingered like heat after a flame, impossible to ignore. Michael appeared in the doorway, tired, distracted, the way he always was lately. "Didn't know you were still up," he said, setting his bag on the counter without even glancing at me first. His eyes went straight to Liam. "Of course they did." "You two watching something?" he asked. Liam opened his mouth, but I spoke first, too quickly. "Just flipping through channels." Michael nodded vaguely, already scrolling through his phone. No curiosity, no suspicion. Just distance. The kind that had grown quietly between us for months. But Liam noticed. And for the first time, he didn't bother hiding it. His jaw tightened. His eyes flicked from Michael to me, dark with something sharp, something dangerously close to jealousy. I felt it like a pulse in the air, something that made my breath catch. Michael finally looked at me. "Everything okay?" I opened my mouth, but Liam cut in softly, "She's fine." Michael barely looked up. I was asking her. That did it. A subtle, heated tension flickered across Liam's expression, protective, possessive in a way that startled me. His knee brushed mine again, intentionally this time, almost as if daring Michael to notice. My heart leapt into my throat, my body betraying me with a rush of warmth. I shifted slightly, but the movement only drew Liam's gaze more intensely. For a moment, the world narrowed to the space between us, to the silent message in his eyes, "He doesn't see you." "I do." Michael finally pocketed his phone and walked toward the kitchen, completely unaware of the storm brewing inches from where he stood. As he disappeared around the corner, Liam leaned closer, just enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him, feel his breath skim the side of my cheek. My pulse thudded wildly, betraying every thought I tried to swallow down. "You don't have to pretend with him," he whispered, voice low and rough with something dangerously honest. My breath hitched. "Liam, don't." He shook his head slowly, eyes locked on mine, unblinking. "I'm not the one crossing lines." The words stole the air from my lungs. Before I could respond, Michael's footsteps sounded again, approaching. Liam didn't move. And in that tiny, breathless second, I knew something had shifted. Something we couldn't take back. Michael went to bed early that night. He didn't kiss me goodnight. He didn't even look long enough to notice the stiffness in my smile. The moment the bedroom door clicked shut, the silence in the house changed. It wasn't peaceful. It was charged. I stayed on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen, trying to slow my breathing. I told myself I should go to bed too, create space, avoid temptation, keep everything safe and distant. But the soft creak of footsteps behind me shattered that plan instantly. Liam. I didn't turn around. Somehow, I already knew it was him. His presence filled the room before he even spoke, warm and tense, like a storm building before rainfall. You're not going to pretend everything's fine, are you? He asked quietly. I exhaled shakily. Liam, not tonight. He rounded the couch and stopped in front of me, hands in his pockets, jaw tight. The glow from the lamp brushed over him, softening the frustration in his features but highlighting something deeper, something he'd been trying not to say for weeks. You don't deserve to be ignored, he said. Not by him. Not by anyone. His voice had a rough edge that sent heat slipping down my spine. I stood up, meaning to create space, but the movement only pulled us closer, too close, almost chest to chest. I froze. The air between us shrank to nothing. His eyes flicked downward for a fraction of a second, toward my lips. A tiny, dangerous moment. I stepped back. Liam, you're making this harder. He followed, just one step. Maybe it's supposed to be hard. The honesty in his tone made my breath catch. My pulse raced so fast I felt dizzy. I brushed past him, intending to escape to the kitchen, but his hand lightly grazed my arm, barely a touch, but enough to stop me mid-step. Don't walk away, he said softly. The sound of his voice, low, earnest, a little desperate, pulled me back toward him like gravity. I turned. Slowly. We stood there in the half-dark, inches apart, both breathing too fast. The house felt too small, too quiet, too private. Every unspoken tension from the past weeks pressed in at once, wrapping around us until the space felt unbearably intimate. You feel this too, Liam whispered. Stop pretending you don't. And before I could summon an answer, before I could choose between right and wrong, the hallway light flickered on. Footsteps. Someone was awake. Liam's eyes widened. And mine did too. Because the moment now hanging between us could ruin everything. The light in the hallway flicked on fully, bright enough to slice through the tension in the living room. Liam and I stepped apart instinctively, but the space between us still vibrated with what almost happened, what we both knew could no longer be ignored. Footsteps approached, slow and uneven. Michael. But when he appeared around the corner, rubbing sleep from his eyes, something in his expression immediately told me this wasn't a simple midnight wake-up. His gaze swept from me to Liam and he froze. It was only a second. A flicker. But it was enough. He wasn't confused. He wasn't surprised. He already knew something had been building here. What's going on? Michael asked, though his tone suggested he wasn't asking, he was daring one of us to lie. My stomach dropped. Nothing. I was just. Liam stepped forward before I could finish, tension tightening his shoulders. Michael, this isn't. No, Michael snapped, lifting his hand. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to my wife. The room fell into a suffocating silence. My heartbeat roared in my ears. Michael's eyes locked onto mine, hurt, sharp, searching. How long has this been happening? It's not what you think, I whispered. But he only shook his head, letting out a bitter laugh. Really? Because I see the way he looks at you. And now I'm starting to think you look back. Liam stepped forward again, jaw set. If you were around more, Michael rounded on him. I trusted you. I let you stay in our home. The accusation hit hard, and Liam's expression collapsed into something raw, guilt, frustration, something dangerously close to heartbreak. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing once, then stopped. His voice was low, steady, too honest. I didn't plan any of this, he said. But I'm not going to pretend anymore. I care about her. More than I should. My breath caught. Not because I didn't know. But because he finally said it out loud. Michael stared at him as if the ground had dropped away beneath his feet. So that's it. You want her. Liam didn't look away. I don't want to lie. The silence that followed was shattering. I felt the weight of both of their eyes, Michael's full of betrayal, Liam's full of truth. And suddenly the room felt too small, too bright, too fragile to hold all the emotions threatening to break it apart. I never meant to hurt anyone, I whispered, my voice trembling. I didn't ask for this. But you didn't stop it, Michael said quietly. His words sliced deeper than any shout could have. Before I could respond, before any of us could decide what came next, Michael stepped back, his face pale, stunned. I need to think, he muttered, turning toward the door. Michael, wait, I reached for him. But he walked out. Not just out of the room. Out of the house. The door closed behind him with a finality that made my chest collapse. I stood frozen in the silence he left behind, heart pounding, breath unsteady. And then I felt it, Liam's presence behind me. Soft. Broken. Close. This is my fault, he whispered. But deep down, we both knew. The moment Michael's car pulled away from the driveway, the house fell into a hollow, echoing silence. The kind that made the truth feel heavier. Realer. Impossible to avoid. I stood frozen in the middle of the living room, my breath shaky, my heart aching in two different directions. Behind me, Liam exhaled a trembling breath and sank onto the edge of the couch, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. I didn't want it to happen like this, he said, voice thick with regret. A part of me wanted to sit beside him, to reassure him, to calm the storm I knew was raging inside him. But another part, the part that still wore the ring on my finger, felt rooted in place. We crossed lines, I whispered. Emotional lines. Maybe we didn't say it, maybe we didn't act on it, but we let it get too close. Liam lifted his head slowly. His eyes were red, but steady. Focused. I'm not going to pretend I didn't feel something, he said. I'm not going to lie about it. I care about you. I tried not to. I tried to stay out of your way, but every day, I watched you shrink into someone you're not. And he didn't see it. I did. His words hit deep. Not because they were new, but because they were true. I finally sank onto the opposite side of the couch, putting distance between us, distance we both needed if we were going to make any decision with a clear head. You didn't cause the cracks in my marriage, I said softly. They were already there. But I stepped into them, Liam replied, voice barely above a whisper. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight between us shifting from heat to consequence. The adrenaline was gone now, replaced by something raw and painful. What do you want to do? He asked. I don't know, I admitted. I need to talk to Michael. We both deserve that. He deserves honesty. And you deserve clarity. Liam leaned back against the couch, staring up at the ceiling like he was trying to steady himself. I'll pack my things, he said quietly. I should go before he comes back. A pang of emotion hit me, unexpected and sharp. You don't have to leave right now. He looked at me with that same mix of fear, longing, and responsibility. If I stay, I'll make this worse. For you. For him. For all of us. His voice cracked on the last word. I inhaled shakily. Then we'll talk tomorrow. All three of us. With clear heads. He nodded slowly, accepting the fragile truce in the room. As he stood and grabbed his jacket, he hesitated just for a moment, before turning back to me. For what it's worth, he said softly, I don't regret caring about you. I only regret the timing. The honesty in his voice nearly broke me. He walked toward the guest room to pack, and I finally let myself collapse onto the couch, breath trembling, heart torn between past and possibility. Outside, the porch light flickered. Inside, the house felt painfully, impossibly still. The conflict wasn't over. Not with anger. Not with accusations. But with a heaviness in his eyes that told me he had spent the entire night unraveling the truth about our marriage, about what had gone wrong long before last night. We sat at the kitchen table, sunlight slipping through the curtains in soft golden stripes. No shouting. No doors slamming. Just two people finally facing what they had been avoiding for too long. "You didn't betray me," Michael said quietly. "Not really. You reached for closeness because I wasn't giving it to you. I should have seen it sooner." Tears stung my eyes. We both drifted. "I didn't fight hard enough to fix it." He shook his head. We both stopped fighting. "That's on us, not on Liam." Hearing his name felt like releasing a breath I didn't know I was holding. "We can fix this," Michael continued. "If we want to. But I don't want you to stay out of guilt. I want you to stay if you still believe in us." His honesty, gentle, raw, free of defensiveness, broke something open inside me. Not pain. Relief. "I do believe in us," I whispered. "But we need to rebuild. Slowly. Carefully." Michael reached across the table and took my hand for the first time in months. And I felt it, warmth I thought had vanished returning in the softest, most unexpected way. When Liam walked in, suitcase in hand, prepared to leave quietly, he froze at the sight of us sitting together. Michael stood first. "We talked," he said calmly. "And we're going to work on things. But I need you to hear something too." Liam braced himself, shoulders tense. "You didn't cause this," Michael continued. "You reacted to a situation we created. Anne. I forgive you." Liam's eyes widened in stunned relief. "I never wanted to hurt either of you." "I know," Michael said, surprising even himself. "But I think it's best if you move out. For all of us." There was no malice. No bitterness. Just clarity. Liam nodded slowly. "I understand." I walked him to the doorway. The morning air was cool, soft, full of muted light. He turned to me, offering a small, sincere smile. "You're stronger than you think. You'll make it work. And you'll be okay too," I said. He nodded once more, and for the first time in weeks, there was no tension, just peace. Closure. When I stepped back inside, Michael slipped his arms gently around me from behind, holding me with a tenderness I hadn't felt in so long. "We'll start over," he whispered against my hair. "Not as the people we were, but as the people we've become." I turned in his arms and rested my forehead against his. "Together?" He smiled softly. "Together." And as the morning light warmed the room, I felt something return, slow, delicate, but real, hope. Love. A new beginning. 2.